Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. Do you know people who don't just test your patience, they outright test your loyalty? Today in the rLounge, when insecurity meets desperation. Up first, she came, she saw, she tried to marry her fiancé. Cousin arrived dressed as the bride. Security kicked her out, and her parents disowned her immediately. Backstory. I've known my cousin my whole life. We grew up together, shared clothes as teens, went through our awkward phases side by side. She's 2 years younger than me, and we've always been close despite some competitive tendencies on her part. When I told her I was engaged, she said all the right things, but something felt off. Her voice had this strange flat quality, and she kept asking oddly specific questions about the ring and whether we'd set a date yet. I brushed it off as surprise, or maybe jealousy, since she'd been single for a while. A few days later, I created a wedding planning group chat with my mom, future mother-in-law, my 2 best friends, and my cousin. That's when things started getting strange. She immediately began sending links to venues that cost more than my annual salary. When I explained our budget was more modest, she sent this passive-aggressive text. "Some people just don't understand class, but I guess you have to work with what you got." I ignored it. Wedding planning is stressful, right? Everyone gets a little testy. When it came time to choose bridesmaids, I asked my 2 best friends and my cousin. My best friend from college would be my maid of honor. She's been my rock forever. My cousin seemed fine with this arrangement at first, but then the dress drama began. The night after I asked her to be a bridesmaid, my phone exploded with messages. She sent texts about bridesmaids' dresses, not suggestions, demands. Everything I liked was basic or tacky, according to her. I wanted simple sage green dresses that would complement everyone, but she kept pushing for these elaborate gowns with trains and beading that looked more like wedding dresses than bridesmaids' attire. During the bridal dress shopping, my mom, future mother-in-law, and all 3 bridesmaids were supposed to meet at the boutique at 10 a.m. Everyone arrived on time except my cousin, who strolled in at 10:45 with a Starbucks drink for herself and no one else. I tried on several dresses before finding the one. A beautiful A-line with delicate lace details that made me feel like a princess, without being over the top. Everyone was tearing up, except my cousin. She looked at me with this pinched expression and said, "That does nothing for your figure. You could do so much better." Later, my maid of honor pulled me aside and showed me something concerning. She'd caught my cousin sneakily taking photos of me in different dresses and sending them to someone. When confronted, she claimed she was just getting opinions from a friend who knows fashion. After that incident, my cousin started missing bridesmaid planning meetings. First, she claimed food poisoning. Then her car wouldn't start. Then she had an emergency with her pet goldfish. The bridesmaid's dress fitting was the next red flag. Everyone ordered the same sage green dress as agreed. Everyone except my cousin, who showed up with a white dress, claiming there had been a mix-up with her order. She said, "They must have sent the wrong color." After 20 minutes of back and forth, she finally agreed to reorder the correct dress. The final dress fitting was scheduled 3 weeks before the wedding. Everyone showed up except my cousin. She texted that she was making alterations herself and sent a cryptic message about how she was going to make sure this wedding was unforgettable. At this point, I was considering asking her to step down, but I didn't want family drama right before the wedding. Then my aunt called. "Have you spoken to my daughter lately?" she asked, sounding worried. I told her about the strange behavior and she sighed deeply. "I found something concerning. She has this secret Pinterest board dedicated to our wedding with hundreds of pins. The groom in all her fantasy scenarios looks exactly like your fiancé. I think she's been obsessed with him for years." This revelation hit me like a truck. I immediately texted my cousin to confront her. She denied everything, called me paranoid and a bridezilla, then flipped the script and accused me of trying to sabotage her. When I told her she was on thin ice as a bridesmaid, she did a complete 180, sending her tearful voice messages begging to stay in the wedding party. Against my better judgment, I let her stay. The rehearsal dinner came, and surprisingly, my cousin was on her best behavior. She gave a sweet toast that actually made me tear up, talking about our childhood together and how happy she was for me. I started thinking maybe I had misjudged her or blown things out of proportion. Wedding day arrived. I was getting ready with my bridesmaids at the venue. A beautiful converted barn with getting ready suites on opposite ends for the bride and groom. My cousin texted that she was running late and would meet us at the ceremony. I was annoyed but focused on my own preparations. 20 minutes before the ceremony, the wedding coordinator burst into the bridal suite looking flustered. She said, "There's another bride trying to enter the ceremony area. Security stopped her, but she's insisting she's part of the wedding party." I ran to the window overlooking the venue entrance. There, arguing with the security guard, was my cousin in a full white wedding gown. Not a bridesmaid's dress, a wedding gown, complete with a veil, professionally done hair and makeup, and a bouquet that looked nearly identical to mine. My aunt and uncle had just arrived and spotted their daughter. My uncle physically blocked her from entering while my aunt burst into tears. I couldn't hear everything from the window, but I could see my cousin screaming and gesturing wildly toward the ceremony space. I felt like I was in a bad dream. The coordinator asked if I wanted to postpone the ceremony, but I refused to let my cousin ruin my day. My maid of honor took charge, coordinating with security to make sure my cousin stayed far away. From what I was told later, my cousin had screamed that my fiancé was supposed to be hers, and that everyone always gives me everything. Her parents told her on the spot that she was disowned and not to come home. My uncle's exact words, according to witnesses, were, "You are no longer our daughter. Do not come to our house again." Security escorted her off the property. Apparently, she told several guests she encountered outside that she was actually the bride and I was her bridesmaid. My aunt called to apologize profusely for her daughter's behavior. She explained that they had already changed the locks on their house and were arranging to have my cousin's belongings packed and sent to her grandmother's house. They were serious about disowning her. I tried to be understanding, but honestly, the signs had been there for months. Everyone had ignored the red flags because no one wanted to believe a family member could be so unhinged. I've blocked her on everything, but I'm worried about what she might do next. Her parents have cut her off financially and emotionally, which might make her more desperate. My husband thinks we should move to a new apartment just to be safe, but part of me doesn't want to let her disrupt our lives any more than she already has. Update. Yesterday, my aunt called to update me on the situation. They've officially kicked my cousin out of their house and cut her off financially. My aunt was in tears explaining how they changed the locks and packed up her belongings. The most shocking thing my aunt revealed was that my cousin had secretly ordered a wedding cake to be delivered to our venue. Not a gift cake, a wedding cake with her name and my husband's name on it. Apparently she planned to have it wheeled out during the reception. The only reason it didn't happen was because the bakery mixed up the delivery times and tried to deliver it after the reception had already started. I've also discovered my cousin has been spreading lies to extended family members and acquaintances. She's telling people I forced her to wear a wedding dress as a cruel joke to humiliate her at my wedding. She's claiming I've always been jealous of her and wanted to make her look bad. My aunt called again this morning with news that my cousin has been staying with my grandmother, who has apparently been sympathetic to her story. My aunt and uncle have made the difficult decision to sell my cousin's car, which they paid for and is in their name, and completely cut off any remaining financial support. They've made it clear to the entire family that they want nothing more to do with their daughter. Let's call this what it is, really. Your cousin is a full-blown, unhinged narcissist whose entire life goal was apparently to ruin yours. She didn't just get carried away. She systematically tried to hijack your wedding, steal your fiancé, and make herself the center of the day that had absolutely nothing to do with her. She's the kind of person who thinks the world owes her everything, and anyone else having happiness is a personal attack. Honestly, the fact that she had the audacity to show up in a wedding dress while you were walking down is insanity. Block her, cut her off, and don't look back. What would you do? Up next, how to be gaslit by a guy who thinks he's clever. Me, 21 female, with new boyfriend, 24 male. His friends, 20s males, tested me, and I passed. Is this as weird as I think it is? Hi, relationships. Need some outside perspective here on a small but weird problem. I've been dating this guy, Sam, for about 3 months now. Just recently made it official and I met his friends on Thursday. Sam's awesome and his friends seem awesome too, or so I thought. We were all hanging out, playing games, watching Netflix, etc. on Thursday after having coming back from the local bar. It was a good time and we were all having fun. Then Sam left the room and his friends almost immediately started talking crap about him. They were ragging on his appearance, calling him a loser, etc., and it made me very uncomfortable. They tried to get me to join in and I kept brushing them off. They persisted, so I finally told them to knock it off and informed them that I would be telling Sam of all this. They got quiet, and then Sam came back, and they tried to go back to just hanging out. I was so pissed off that I said I was going to bed and went to Sam's room. Sam came in about half an hour later and asked me if everything was okay. I told him that his friends were talking crap about him, and it pissed me off. I said that I know that I had no right to tell them who to be friends with, but I think he should ditch them. And then he did something that totally threw me off. He grinned. I asked him what he was smiling about, and that's when he told me the following. Apparently, they do this with every girl Sam meets to test her and see if she'll talk crap about him behind his back. If she does, he dumps her. If not, hooray. Sam's in on it, but says it's pretty harmless. He says I'm the first girl to have told him about what happened, which means I'm the best? I'm inclined to agree that it's harmless, but I find it weird. Am I right in thinking this is just strange? Is this something normal? Do all guys do this? Just need some perspective. Thanks. Let's see what some of the comments have to say. First one. Your boyfriend still has a lot of growing up to do. This is high school level stuff. You need to decide if you want to date a child or do you want to move on and find a real man. Someone else adds, well, you may have passed his test, but he sure as crap failed yours. Why would you want to be with someone who is going to set you up like that? One more lob from the audience. Wow, you may have passed, but Sam and his friends failed miserably. Setting people up in uncomfortable and made-up positions is not only mean and childish, but it's also unrealistic and pointless. You don't lie to people to gain the truth. Your mileage may vary, but I'd be moving on from people who feel the need to manipulate me and put me through stress for their own benefit and amusement. Update. Next day. Hello again. Wow, my post blew up yesterday. Thanks to everyone for the advice. Sorry I didn't respond to anyone. I posted it while on my break at work, so I had no time to do so. I thoroughly appreciate all of you taking the time to comment. You're all radiant unicorn moonbeams, and you're awesome. Everyone pretty much unanimously said A, Sam is a dick, and B, dump the dick. This confirmed my suspicions, but I figured I'd talk to Sam about it anyway, just to give him the benefit of the doubt because I am nice like that. Well, long story short, A, Sam really and truly is a dick, and B, the dick has been dumped. The conversation lasted all of 5 minutes before he started getting defensive. The climax was him calling me a witch for not being grateful that I had passed his stupid test. At that point, I just said, yeah, it's over. I may have passed your test, but you failed mine. Thanks to a particular Redditor for that line, and I walked away. He tried to blow up my phone, but I nipped that in the butt by blocking him. So yeah, thanks everybody for helping me dodge a massive bullet bill-sized bullet. Much appreciated. Y'all are a bunch of beautiful sunlit diamonds. You dodged a huge bullet. Passing his little test doesn't make you a good girlfriend. It just highlights how absurdly terrible he was as a partner. Good call walking away, because anyone who needs to stage emotional ambushes to see if you're worthy isn't someone worth your time. Thoughts? Have you ever been put through any tests? Let us know in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time. And please put your chair back where you found it.